Hello and welcome back to another episode of Mystery Red Reads. I am your host, Mystery Red, and this is my disclaimer. This beta read in concrete is at the author's request. This video is for learning purposes. Today we're looking at a piece of original fiction. We are back with Infinite Shades by Crystal Committee, and we are looking today at chapter 13. And we are going to just dive right on in here. Give my mouth a minute to warm up. Let's see. First, I'm going to kind of look at what is... Oh my goodness. Okay, we got a long note there. Okay. And then what's this one? All right. Oh, so I guess when I clicked on this, it opened the full note. Okay. Let me make sure that I am in suggesting. Good. Okay, I want to... All right. I really appreciate what you did on the last couple chapters, identifying where it's Sam and where it is the committee when it all squished in the inner dialogue. Oh, I forgot to turn off the space heater. I've realized when I have this on and I play it back that it's really loud in the background. Okay. In this and the next couple of chapters, I'm really struggling with it, making it clear. I don't know if I lost my mojo or if the novelty of adding the committee is wearing off and now they're kind of tedious. I think it's a formatting style decision, and I get it. I get it 100%. I've got a couple of pieces where I wrote first person present tense, or I think maybe first person past tense, and slipped into the present because I became so immersed in the story. And I have another one, it's first person past tense, and I think I stayed in past tense, but I was flipped back and forth in my consistency when it came to direct internal thought. And I just, the more I thought about it, the more I confused myself, and the formatting was not consistent. And it's kind of distracting now, but okay. So I can see, I totally understand this whole entire, this thing with the committee and working them into when they're sharing a brain with Sam, and it's crowded in there, and so I can totally appreciate the whole formatting, figuring it out thing, and how tedious it is. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I do feel your pain there. For those reading and watching, know my natural instinct with a lot of it are multiple paragraphs, and I'm cutting it down tons to get it more streamlined. I often write a paragraph for one quote and a second, same based with a different quote, sometimes a third or fourth. I might have music lyrics or events as well, and all I feel work equally well. So I kill a lot of my darlings. So in general, anyone watching, or you, me, ideas on how to make a distinct definition between committee and Sam in some of these. Where it's all in italics, the format is where I'm struggling the most. Do you prefer the one-sided conversation with Sam where you're inferring what the committee is saying like a phone call, or do you want to actually have them say it? So it's, oh my gosh, it's almost, for me, I think it's almost, you want to be consistent. You want to make sure it makes sense. Well, let's muse out the problem for a second, because I have the feeling I'm still going to be indecisive about it, because these kind of challenges are something I have a hard time. I'm an indecisive person. So if I don't have a clear cut rule, I got to muse it out to come to what am I going to do about it. But, so I'm not particularly helpful that way. But we can also tap into any viewers that are following along the story. Please comment how would you handle it when you've got Sam and she has the Crystal Committee in her mind. Okay, so they're internal conversations. They're not with a person that's right in front of her, and their conversations are, and her direct internal thoughts are in like italics. And so she's asking, do you prefer the one-sided conversation with Sam where she's like on the phone and you're not getting the committee's part of it? You're not getting anything from the committee. You're only getting what Sam lets you know, like she's relaying to you a phone conversation, okay? It'll be like she's talking to herself, basically, and you're going to have to derive what the committee said from her musings with herself, which kind of, if you did that, I'm going to say right away, and this is not PC at all, but nobody likes it when you use this word, but old school people, this is the word we grew up with, and I'm not saying I agree with it, but I'm just going to say they're going to think she's crazy. And if you're reading and she's talking to herself, even internally, you know, internally, they might even think that anyway. She's internally speaking with a committee of beings that do not have bodies, and they're talking back to her. So that kind of lends to a little what the heck, scratch your head. Now we get the supernatural element and the crystal itself, so we get that, and we accept it, and we rationalize that Sam is not crazy. However, this could drive her crazy. That is very realistic and very much a possibility. Let's see. So, okay, do you actually want to have them say it? Now let's muse out for a second. What would happen if the Crystal Committee is actually saying their lines, and you've got kind of like you have dialogue between Garrett and Sam, okay, or Amanda and Sam, whoever. Like, these are characters with physical bodies right in front of her. If she was to type out the dialogue between the committee and Sam, it would play out like a regular conversation would, but sometimes it may seem redundant. Like, I bet if we could find a spot where it might come out as redundant if we test that. And what I mean by that is like something it's like over explaining something that's being able to be derived from text from one person. Okay, if that makes sense. Let's read, and they'll come back to this question a little bit here in the end, but let's go ahead and get a read on and see if an example of what I'm saying happens to pop up. It may not be in the format that would present it, but it might be text that would give an example of what I'm saying should it be written out in a back and forth dialogue between two parties. Let's just see what happens. I'm not saying that's in here. I'm saying there's a chance that it might be in here, or I might see a point where I could point it out. I could probably scroll back into past documents. This one is chapter 13 because that's where we're at. But I could probably go back into the past and find an example of what it is that I'm trying to say. But as I can't think of one right off the top of my head, I'm going to go ahead and do my read. If one pops up, I'll point it out, an opportunity. And if not, then we can revisit this in the end, and I might just pause and try to come back with an example of what it is I'm saying. Or I could just talk to committee privately if they need an example. But I really kind of like using this format to not only share an example with my author, but to share an example with my audience so that we're all learning. Okay, with all that, let's just dive into our story. The sections, in case anyone is just kind of starting out or not familiar, Crystal Committee has said the sections are something they use to break up long text to help them find their place when they're revising and editing. All right, here we go. The air in the elevator hangs heavy and stale, clinging, as if it's overstayed its welcome. Clinging. I think it's clinging. Lingering. My suggestion here is lingering. There we go. All right. Sam shifts on her heels, wondering if this lower level is some kind of initiation test. Welcome to the Seattle office, rookie. When the elevator lurches to a stop, she steps into a long, drab hallway scattered with double metal doors that the committee whispers, abandon all... Wait, I'm stuck for a second. I didn't make it to the end. I'm going to try to read through and make it to the end and then point out where I got stuck. When the elevator lurches to a stop, she steps into a long, drab hallway scattered with double metal doors that the committee whispers, abandon hope, all ye who enter. Okay, so it makes sense, the overall, but it does feel like a word is missing, so let's figure out where that is. When the elevator lurches to a stop, she steps into a long, drab hallway scattered with double metal doors. Right here between doors and that, it feels like something is missing. Doors that double metal doors that open. Okay. Scattered with double metal doors. Okay. At the side of, the committee whispers. Okay, here's what's kind of missing is something in here that transitions between what Sam is seeing to the committee's thoughts or their comment on what it is that Sam is seeing. So I think what and my secondary thing here is going to be when we add something between these in this spot, which I can just highlight the spot so you can see where it is that I'm missing something. But note that when I do that, I kind of feel like I should pick a different color than the one you got up there. Let me just control my OCD on colors before I get off on that tangent. Okay. When the elevator lurches to a stop, she steps into a long, drab hallway scattered with double metal doors. I kind of want you to end the sentence right there. The site of which the committee whispers. Maybe, maybe not. You can figure it out, but it's missing. There's something missing, and this is, I think it's the transition between Sam's observation and the committee's comment. At the site of which, or the side of, maybe the side of which, the side of which, why am I messing up my thing? Okay, we can fix this. It's not getting better. It's not getting better. This is so funny. Okay. All right. The site of which prompts the committee to whisper, abandon hope, all ye who enter. Okay, it's not perfect. You could probably toy with it more, but you get the idea. What I'm doing is kind of ending the first, and I'm inclined to tell you to end this here, because even if you smooth the transition between doors and that, it's going to make your sentence even longer, and you've already got 2 commas, so it's a nice length sentence right there. And I would shy away from making it longer, and so I'm more inclined to suggest you end that thought, and the next thought just carries on from it. Let's just try it, and you can do whatever you want to do with it. It's not perfect, but it gives you the idea of what I was trying to accomplish. When the elevator lurches to a stop, she steps into a long, drab hallway scattered with double metal doors, the side of which prompts the committee to whisper, abandon hope, all ye who enter. Guessing, she walks right, her instincts nudging her to peek around a corner just in time to catch movement inside a small server room. A man in his early 40s stands there, built like he spends hours in the gym gripping a long plank. She taps the doorframe. Would you by chance be Agent Carter? Maybe, he replies as he wrangles with cables hanging from the ceiling. Okay, so the strong silent type. Could be worse. Need a hand, she offers, staying at the threshold. Best to wait for an invitation. Depends on who you are. I think I might be your new partner, Samantha Clemens. She extends her hand, more out of habit than expectation. Maybe he'll appreciate the formality. He points to the corner of the shelf he's balancing. Put it to good use, right there. Do you prefer Samantha, Sam, Clemens, agent in charge? Oh, he's good. Depends on who's asking, she volleys back, setting her hand on the shelf to stabilize it. William Carter. Hey, you, or Carter is fine. Clemens works for me. Let me guess, gonna earn that first name / nickname? He asks, sliding over to secure her side. Something like that. At least he's curious. As he steps back, he rubs his hands on his pants, eyeing them for grime. Will you take the gesture as it's intended? He asks, holding out his hands as if to say, look at this mess. A point for honesty. Taking his hand anyway. Okay. I think she takes his hand anyway. Accepts his hand or takes his hand anyway. Takes his hand. Takes she. I think we're missing she. She accepts. She takes or accepts. Yes. Her gaze sweeps the room, noting the maze of cables, tools, and stacked electronics. Quite the hole they assigned you for an office. I'm going to pause. Okay, so I'm just going to highlight this for a second, and then I'm going to scroll back looking for something, because there's something that I'm wanting, and I'm wondering if I missed it, and so I'm going to kind of look back and peruse and see if I missed it, and if I did, we're just going to keep going, like if it's there. But what I'm looking for is, what does Mr. Carter look like? Okay, so she's got her opening. guessing she walks right, her instincts nudging her to peek around a corner just in time to catch movement in a small server room. A man in his early 40s stands there, but built like he spends hours in the gym gripping a long plank. Okay, so I got his build. All right, I got a look of his build. I can kind of imagine him. Guessing, let's see, she taps the door frame. All right, so now he's going to turn and I guess kind of look at her. Maybe, he replies as he wrangles with cables hanging from the ceiling. Okay, so the strong silent type could be worse. All right. Need a hand, she offers, staying at the threshold. Best to wait for an invitation. Depends on who you are. And then, all right, so they're meeting each other. When I kind of wonder and I see an opportunity, I'm not sure exactly what moment he looks at her because I know he was doing something. All right, so a man in his early 40s stands there built like he spends hours in the gym gripping a long plank. She taps the door frame. Would you be by chance be Agent Carter? Maybe, he replies as he wrangles cables. So he's doing something, all right? Need a hand, she offers. Depends on who you are. I think I'm trying to position the exact moment when he looks at her. I think I might be your new partner, Samantha Clemens. She extends her hand. All right, so at this point, if she's extending her hand, they're making eye contact, I'm assuming, okay? So right in this zone, right around here, is an opportunity for you to describe his facial features. Does he look friendly? Does he have wrinkles around his eyes, on his brow, around his mouth? Does he have a facial hair? What color eyes does he have? Does he have long eyelashes? Does he have a broad nose? Does he have a big nose? Does he have it doesn't need to be all of these things. But generally, when we first meet someone, we kind of take in their appearance and we kind of form a first kind of impression of them. She's kind of having these little internal thoughts about, maybe he'll appreciate the formality. That part's working for her. But when you very first she's very first getting to look at him, she might have an internal thought about him. Is he handsome? Does he look like Garrett? Does he, remind her of her dad? Does he look like the friendly type? What does he have? Give me some kind of initial impression of him and his appearance and what she thinks of it. Because there's going to be a flicker of a moment, usually maybe if there's, sometimes you meet someone and they look like someone else or they might look like a celebrity, or they might look like your average person. I don't know, but I don't know what he looks like. But the minute that she met him and they shook hands, I was kind of waiting for some kind of physical attribute to his face to kind of go along. I've got his build. Well done, by the way. I've got his build in his early 40s. Looks he's fit. All right, this sounds like he's shaping up to be probably a handsome man. Maybe. We don't know. But the minute he turned around and looked at her, what was her impression or thought of that? I'm just going to tuck a note kind of like right here, somewhere in this zone. And I'm going to say notes and video. Okay. So you've got kind of my musing. That's an opportunity spot for you to kind of give a first impression. Like already she's impressed with him. Okay. Oh, he's good. Okay. She likes what he's saying to her and how he's working it. But I'm just wondering, does she have any thoughts about the way he looks? A person can be unattractive and still be friendly. You know what I'm saying? So, you can have an internal thought about the way someone looks and give away a feature so that we can kind of picture it. And then that'll help us connect with Carter. All right, so I'm going to scroll back down here to my spot, and I'm going to back up one line to kind of refresh my brain, and we're going to keep going. Do I have a note on this now? I need to delete that. Okay. We're going to back up for context purposes. As he steps back, he rubs his hand on his pants, eyeing them for grime. Will you take the gesture as it's intended? He asks, holding out his hands as if to say, look at this mess. A point for honesty. She takes his hand anyway. Yes. Her gaze sweeps the room, noting the maze of cables, tools, and stacked electronics. Quite the hole they assigned you for an office. He laughs. Us. I picked it. Didn't mean to make a unilateral decision. I heard you don't like those, but you weren't here. He pauses. Space upstairs was a mess. Brown-nosing rookie agents everywhere. No offense. Finally, someone who gets it. None taken. Carter grins. Down here, I can secure everything. Keep prying eyes out. No one accidentally ends up on the basement floor. If they did, it'd be obvious they meant to. Isolation can hide intentions as easily as it hides intrusions, the committee observes. Sam also smiles at the familiar skepticism, but brushes it aside. Makes sense, she agrees. Warming to Carter's calculated eccentricities. Sorry I didn't make the introduction meeting with the old man. He gestures to his grease-streaked work clothes. Not exactly dressed for the occasion. Wouldn't have bothered anyway. The judgy pricks upstairs would question my credentials if they saw me like this. Not that I think you're one of them. Oh, I paused. My brain paused going, does he? I'm kind of like wondering. So as this is kind of setting up in the back of my mind, I was wondering, he's coming across as like having an opinion about the people upstairs. And I'm partly wondering, there could be a couple reasons for this because we're dealing with spies. I'm like, okay, he legit may have these, he may be being honest with her, completely straightforward and honest, and have these feelings about them, but he may also be saying that to her to lower her guard and see how she feels about them. And, it's kind of like if you're a spy, I probably wouldn't trust anyone. Okay. Oh, you haven't ruled me out yet. A half smile threatens to show. She sounds confident, he remarks, moving toward an open doorway, inviting her along. Though I thought you'd be older with all those degrees you have. Not grandma old, but at least middle adulthood. The you look young comment. Classic. Not going to add no offense, she asks, eyebrow raised. Is there a need? It was a disguised compliment. Uh-huh. Not completely, but I'll take it. Following him, she steps into a room, noting the livable setup. A bed made with military precision, a microwave, a fridge, even a shelf full of maintenance supplies. She smirks. A bachelor pad. Minimalist with a sprinkle of survivalist paranoia. Self-sufficient, perhaps overly so, the committee remarks, layering approval with wariness. That almost sounded reasonable. Not mocking, liking. Carter glances at the clutter of crates and cables. This setup's temporary. I have a place, but I was supposed to be up and running by Monday. You weren't due until next week. A case took a northwest turn, so we arrived early. Is that a problem? Well, hell yes, it is. He grimaces theatrically at the stacked crates. I wanted this cleaned up to make a good impression. I'm no Martha Stewart, but this isn't what I had in mind. She stifles a laugh. It's fine. Are you always this forthcoming? He chuckles. No. This is the real, when I'm comfortable in my space, me. He rustles a crate off the pile, nodding for Sam to help. Anywhere else, I'm the stoic guy in a cheap but expensive-looking suit with the appropriate tie. The muscle man who supposedly can't think his way out of a paper bag. I really like his character. I like his honesty and directness. I find it refreshing. And I think that he's shaping up nicely to be a nice addition. I am curious about his facial features. I think if we get that, I'm really going to have a better complete sense of him. I can visual this, kind of the middle-aged dude, the fit dude. I like his personality. I don't entirely trust him though. See, I don't trust anybody, and I'm wondering if Sam does. We'll see. Okay. Section 2. Sam chuckles. The contrary is true, of course. A tie, please. We both know you're hiding half a department store's worth of muscle under that stoic strongman act. What's with the lack of camouflage, she asks, a mix of curiosity and amusement. They warned you'd see right through it. Sense the insides for what they are. He taps the crate's lock, glancing her way. Honesty with a partner matters. First impressions stick. Could you look away, he asks. Trust like that can be a weakness, a voice from the committee mutters, caution coloring the words. She turns, her focus directed at a blank spot on the wall. S.A.C. Garrett briefed you on me? Somewhat. Said you see into people's souls, understand their truths. It's creepy, but I don't want to mess up my impression, so here's the unvarnished me. Too much? She laughs. Not at all. Your transparency is refreshing. I can't read or twist your thoughts, but I sense when someone's lying or uneasy, and I trace the signals from there. Straightforward, honest, we're in new territory here. Carter pulls a metal sheet from the crate. I'm pausing because so interesting that Sam kind of had the same thoughts I did, or I had the same impression that his transparency was refreshing as long as it was genuine. Because I'm like, okay, he's starting out to be a likable character. I had an impression of him. Sam kind of had the same general impression of him. I like that we're getting her impression. And I also like that we're getting her read on him. So she's determining that she feels that he's being honest with her. So this is all very good. Carter pulls a metal sheet from the crate. Good for investigations. Saves time tracking down the bad guys. He hands her a pair of plates. And that flawless memory of yours? Now I get why he kept you under wraps for so long. A smile spreads across his face. They're heavier than they look. She nearly drops them. Heavier than they look is an understatement, big guy. Hoisting a few more into his arms, gesturing for her to follow. Curious? I think we want... He gestures for her to follow. Hoisting a few more into his arms, he gestures for her to follow. Yes, it's my default setting, including being the primary cause of the death of cats. No, I don't hate. Come on, guys, you should know better. It's a phrase. Oh, you're pointing out self-deprecation. Accepted then. Okay, I'm going to pause. So far, let's look at the committee portion of this for a second. I'm going to highlight it here and we're going to look at it again, but I'm going to scroll back and look up to all of the moments that the committee has spoken. So what I was doing in my past couple reads for Crystal Committee is identifying who I thought was talking when we had an internal thought. Is it Sam or is it the committee? And is it clear? And that is something that Crystal Committee wanted to know, and rightfully so. It is something that we have to keep an eye out for is her intentions hitting across, and are we getting the right impressions? So I feel like I've been following along beautifully up to this point. And let me just really quickly welcome to the Seattle office, rookie. I kind of think that is Sam. This one directly says the committee is whispering, so we know who is speaking. And then, okay, so the strong silent type could be worse. That's Sam. Best to wait for an invitation. I still feel like that's Sam. I feel like a lot of these are Sam. Maybe he'll appreciate the formality. That's her. Okay. Oh, he's good. That's Sam. At least he's curious. Also Sam. Look at this mess. Okay, this is more like that's a saying. That's not a thought of anyone. That's his gesture. A point for honesty. Sam. Let's see. Finally, someone who gets it. Also Sam. And this one is the committee, but it very clearly is told to us that it's the committee, so we know. So I am able to follow along very well here and understand who it is that's speaking. And so it's been going well, and I'm just doing this for really quick. The "you look young" comment, Sam hears that all the time, so I know that's her. This is also Sam. A bachelor pad with minimalist with a sprinkle of survivalist paranoia. Self-sufficient, perhaps overly so, the committee remarks. Okay, so this is one where we have Sam speaking and the committee in close context. Let's just play it out here. I'm going to show you who I think is who. And a bachelor pad, minimalist with a sprinkle of survivalist paranoia. Paranoia. There we go. Why could I not say that today? It's a very easy to say word. Okay. Self-sufficient, perhaps overly so, the committee remarks, layering approval with wariness. Now, I thought that this was Sam up to this point, and then I thought this sentence was the committee. Now, so I'm letting Crystal Committee know that so they will know who is what, but I'm taking the first sentence to be Sam and the second one to be the committee. That almost sounded reasonable, not mocking, liking. I feel like that is Sam. So we have not ping-ponged it back and forth, and yet I was able to kind of follow along. I feel like if in the formatting, if it is not played out as treating the committee like their own character, which they are, but separating their text from Sam's text, if we're not doing that, then in places like this, I would almost suggest having a second, at minimum a second, if not a third, beta reader looking specifically at the internal dialogue of Sam and the committee and identifying the way that I identify, is it Sam, is it the committee? And if we're all getting it right, then you know it's working. That would be one method you could use. I like odd numbers when I'm trying to make a decision, because if the majority of the odd number has the same impression, then I feel like I'm probably more on point, and that kind of helps me know that. So that is a thought. I know it's kind of hard to find 3, but I could count as 1 because I'm doing it for you. You would just need 2 more people looking specifically, and you could tell the beta up front, I'm specifically needing you to look at this text. It is 2 brains in 1 body, and so the internal thoughts are formatted the same way, and I'm trying to make sure that I've got it very clear who is who is who. Okay, that's a thought. Okay, we're gonna keep going. So let's see. I am way back down there, so I'm looking at my next bit of internal dialogue to see who I think is who. We both know you're hiding half a department store. Okay, that is completely Sam, and I know because she's like the department store with a muscle under stoic strongman. That's Sam. Trust like that can be a weakness. The committee mutters. See, a voice from the committee. Okay, so this very clearly lets me know it's the committee. So that was very easy to follow. This worked really well. Okay, this went really well. Straightforward, honest, we're in new territory. Sam. Heavier than they look as an understatement. Big guy, Sam. Let's see. All right, so now we're here. So we've covered who we think is who up to this point. So now let's look at this one, because I started to kind of have the who is talking moment right here. All right. Yes, it's my default setting, including being the primary cause of the death of cats. No, I don't hate. Come on, guys, you should know better. It's a phrase. Oh, you're pointing out self-deprecation. Accepted then. Okay, so this first part, I wondered if that is the committee, including being the primary cause of the death of cats. Is that the committee? And then she immediately tells them no, and the rest of the thoughts are Sam's. That's my thought. So I'm going to note that, and we're going to keep going. But I did pause and wonder. At first I thought this was Sam, but then when I read the rest of it, I was like, I think that first line is the committee and the rest of it is Sam. It did give me pause where I did have to sort it out. So I don't know. Maybe I'll just put notes and videos so that you can find this quicker. Oh, no, I don't want to do all that. So that you can find this quicker in case you want to look at it for any like clarification purposes. If you don't want your reader to have pause, which I always recommend that our reader not have anything that detracts them from our story. So I'm going to just say notes and video in case, and that way it's easy to also remove if you don't want to do anything with it. Do I want to share? He asks. You're still debating. I'm fine either way. I may remember everything, but it doesn't mean I understand it, though it would be easier if you'd choose the forthcoming option. He kneels down. Give it time. Count against me. Everyone needs their privacy. Hey, ease off. First impressions and all. I have to make them too. God's help me when I fill him in about the lot of you. Oh, you don't like that idea? Tough. I'll give you time to debate and assess, but in the end, he will need to know if this is to work. Until it's laced with criminal intent. I think all of that is Sam. And obviously so this is one of the spots where, oh, you don't like that idea, tough. So that's kind of like the phone call conversation is what Crystal Committee was referring to. Hey, ease off, first impressions and all. I have to make them too. God's help me when I'm fill him in about the lot of you. Oh, you don't like that idea. So this is the phone call conversation where it's kind of one-sided. Sam kind of talked to them and answered for them. And so you got all of it from Sam's perspective only. So I paused for a second and I think, would it be best if it was all one way or the other? And I'm inclined to say no. I kind of think if it wasn't, I kind of feel like if it was all this way, it would almost feel like I don't want to say an information dump, but you know how like when you read an information dump, it kind of falls flat. I feel like if we had the repetition of this format, it would start to kind of feel like you were just informing us of something in the same way again and again, even though that's not what you're doing. but it might start to have that feeling. I kind of think it might, and I hope that makes sense. Um, it might also be less interesting right now. The banter between them when sometimes they speak up for themselves is it requires me to pay attention. It requires me to pay attention to the back and forth between them and to kind of be on my toes. Or I guess my brain to be on whatever it goes on. I got to be sharp. I got to be paying attention. So that's good. And I don't know how I feel about flip flopping back and forth between the two. I kind of inclined to say I prefer it the way you're doing it overall, because it keeps them into it as characters, not just. I feel like if they were all one-sided, they were on the phone method, okay? I feel like they would not feel like characters as much. We wouldn't be able to give the expression of the different tones. Sometimes when you imply something they say and you put a tone with it, it brings on a sensation, if it's a snarky tone, or if it's a dark, heavy tone. If it's a menacing tone, I'm inclined to really pay attention. Can you imagine having a menacing tone in your head? Okay, what the heck? That's terrifying. I mean, to have multiple voices in your head would be terrifying. But if one of them wasn't particularly nice, that would be creepy. So if you did the phone method, you're not going to get any of that. And then it's almost like she's making a call out for information, but they're not a real character, not one that you could become attached to or be invested in. That's kind of my musings on that so far. Where the way that you're doing it, I pay attention to things that discern that they are different individuals, and you are able to utilize the way you've been doing it to show that they are different individuals, and that really makes you pay attention. Okay, we're going to keep going. I think as a whole, when it comes back to that question you asked, that my musings throughout are probably going to answer it. And if they don't, you just let me know. All right. Everyone needs their privacy. And then we have, hey, ease off, first impressions and all. I have to make them too. God's help me when I fill him in about the lot of you. Oh, you don't like that idea? Tough. I'll give you time to debate and assess, but in the end, he'll need to know if this is to work. Until it's laced with criminal intent, Carter slides two thin plates above and below a row of drives, then reaches for the one she's holding, positioning them on the sides. Thoughts on what I'm doing? Rebuilding your proprietary engineered data analysis system, including a finely tuned yet robust intelligence with the package. His head snaps up. He brief you? Sam winks. No, he couldn't, even if he had a cheat sheet. That's if he knew it existed. I've seen a similar configuration. Carter's eyes narrow, studying her. I kind of want them to narrow and just let them narrow. Like, yeah, she's got him thinking now. He's on point. You know your stuff, he replies, amused. An honest compliment. That's rare. He recognizes your caliber. Oh, okay. So when it says he recognizes your caliber, I'm now thinking this is the committee. And we're going to keep going. A good match, whispers the committee. Confirmed. Okay. Wondering, and Crystal Committee will know, do you get a period or a comma here? Maybe. I'm not sure, but I'm going to put it there and you're going to know. Wow, that was a sudden switch. Argue about it later, but let me handle the present. Thanks. Best kept secrets are those in plain view. I was told you were a tech whisperer. Good ones follow certain patterns. Great ones go beyond. Okay, so I kind of gathered this part. You know what? Okay, hang on. That comma's not going to work. All right. I kind of want this to be a period. All right, here's my question. All right, an honest compliment, that's rare. He recognizes your caliber. A good match, whispers the committee. I kind of feel like if that first line is the committee, which I think it is, I think this should be a comma, and this should be maybe, is it a lowercase? Whispers the committee. Wow, that was such a sudden switch. Okay, so if we have a period here, Wow, that was a sudden switch. I'm thinking this part is Sam. All right. And so I'm trying to get our punctuation to lend to this is the committee. Not that. It highlighted too much. This right here. And this on is Sam. All right. And so I kind of doctored it a little bit with the punctuation for that purpose. I'm just going to say notes and video. So because I kind of vocalized it. All right. Let's see. We finished that. Yes. Okay. He raises a brow. From this, I fall into which category? Considering you've kept this from 4 government agencies, the military, their foreign counterparts, scientists, and corporate spies, definitely the latter. I think I'm going to like you, he replies, amused. Pausing. He did a reply and another action a little bit, I feel, very recently. I'm pretty sure. I want to just look and make sure. There it is. Okay. I'm going to highlight it for you because I saw a pattern forming in the format of the use of the word. So not only do you have a word echo, but oh my goodness, it even has amused on the other side. I didn't even notice that part. Look, I thought it was just maybe a pattern of using replies and then comma and then having an afterthought, but it happened to be the exact same afterthought as well. Because it happened more than once, I'm not going to read through myself looking for it. If I catch it anymore going down, I'll highlight it for you. But sometimes when we find ourselves or we figure out or discover that we have done this, we may have done it in other places. So you may want to do a search for replies, comma, amused, just to make sure that you've not done it anywhere else, particularly in the chapter. As far as it goes, yes. Okay. So on that note, we're going to keep going. Let's see. I think I'm going to like you, he replies, amused. You've been reading up on me. Okay, I want to make a suggestion back here. When I first read it, I kind of thought you didn't actually need this anyway. So the easiest solution and the one I'm going to suggest is just to omit this and have Carter's eyes narrow. You know your stuff, period, and let it end. And then you can just omit this and you can keep this. But that's my suggestion. We're just keep going. I'd say guilty, but I didn't actually do the reading. Not much written about you. It's what's not there that tells me a lot. He nods, as she operates in the space in between the unspoken, the unseen. Nice way to phrase that. If you only knew the baggage it comes with. Different take, but yeah, that works. He rises from his crouch, moving into the other room. I guess I agree with us being a good pair. I rely on what's documented and you on what's not. Together, we get a comprehensive view. This isn't his first rodeo, and he's not one to waste time with surface-level impressions. Is that why you and Simmons were so close? The moment the words slip out, she regrets it. Oh, he wasn't ready for that one yet. I'm going to pause for just a second. So we have an Agent Garrett, an Agent Carter, and an Agent Simmons. Okay, these are a lot of names from S.H.I.E.L.D., girl. I know they're not the same characters and that they're not based on them. I know some of them lightly inspired some things, but I'm just going to say we got a lot of S.H.I.E.L.D. agent names in here. It's just, I'm noticing it. All right, we're going to keep going. Okay, where are we? His face falls just a fraction before he hides it. It's all right. She was bound to come up. He retrieves a couple more sheets from the box. We were close. So you don't think I'm hiding anything? Intimate close. But that was never known. Outside of the two of you and some mild but purposely not getting involved suspicions from Garrett, I understand. The secret is safe. Carter lets out a long breath. She had a memory like yours. Work-wise, I miss that the most, aside from her company. He loads her arms with a few more sheets. I might not have your intuition, but the story around her death, smelliest pile of BS I've ever encountered. The more I dug, the worse it got. The committee offers a solemn echo. He mourns in loyalty. No lies here. All you wanted was the truth. Anyone would. Sam watches Carter's guarded expression, deciding how far to push. Every I dotted and T crossed. All questions got an answer. She raises a finger. That got my attention. Too perfect, he asks, sliding in the plates. She nods, missing the messy random details. She tilts her head toward the system. Geothermal or magnetic? A mix of both plus extras. Are you chasing it? He asks. I'm assigned to it, she replies. Came in as a missing persons case for my team. Scott, Andrews, Collins, Chavez, and Riley, right? How do you know them? She asks, unfazed. He shrugs. Anyone near her case, I track the who, what, when, where, and especially the why. Detail-oriented to a fault. Fair, but do you want us to dig into it? Intuition guides as much as it skews, a voice from the committee warns. He chuckles, dark and bitter. Us? No. You? Do I even have to ask? He hesitates, his usual composure cracking. Or am I just that conflicted? I'm going to pause myself. It's reading well. I'm going to scroll back here. I am really quick. All right, so this was very clearly the committee. It says it's the committee. And I think this is Sam. And then this voice is from the committee and it states that. So it's very clear. It's very easy to follow. I'm doing great. You're doing great. All right. He opened it up. It's all out there. I know you're suspect, but assessment, like no one does this for us ever. You want to play the cautious road? I'm good with that. Separate the assessment. I do the physical here and now. You do the emotional analysis. Okay, there we go. You would be the best on finding loopholes there, though. You think my assessment would taint your results as inexperienced as I am. Okay, we'll go that way. Thanks for dealing with the baggage. Yes, and I prefer informed consent. So inform me. She sighs. Easier said than done. Okay, I'm going to pause. So we had that long internal one-sided thing, where she kind of went through a little parade of thoughts. And I was at first, he opened it up. It's all out there. I know you're suspect, but assessment, like no one does this for us ever. You want to play the cautious road? I'm good with that. Separate the assessment. I do the physical here and now. You do the emotional analysis. You would be the best on finding loopholes there, though. Okay, so is she thinking this toward him or the committee? I'm kind of confused by who it is she's having these thoughts toward. You would be the best on finding loopholes there, though. And, you think my assessment would taint your results. Okay, so when she pauses and says, you think my assessment would taint your results as inexperienced as I am, I'm still not sure. Is she thinking these thoughts towards, okay, we're just gonna, no, we're not doing that. Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay. Are her thoughts toward Carter or the committee? It's a bit long for like a rant of internal thoughts. Sam does do that. I'm wondering if you need all of it. It just seems long. Like she would have kind of drifted off into space. Okay, she would have kind of like drifted off into space to have this kind of internal thought, although she is pretty fast. I don't know. I'm just wondering, he's standing there and she's talking to him. And all of a sudden she's got all of this in her head. Does he notice? Of course, he didn't ask. He wasn't like, you all right? Did you check out there? He didn't say anything like that. But I'm kind of wondering how long. I don't know. It's just, I'm wondering it. It might not have been that long at all. I'm also not entirely sure who the thoughts are toward. I think they're all Sam thoughts, but I'm not sure if they're toward the committee or if they're toward Carter. Okay. So let me go back to the way I'm going to start here in her text, her dialogue, and then we're going to keep going. Yes, and I prefer informed consent. So inform me, she sighs. Easier said than done. He tilts his head. Anything worth doing is. Only if handled cautiously, she counters. His one cheek moves up toward his eye. Bells or sirens? God. I'm going to suggest right or left. Just his one cheek. He has two cheeks. So I'm understanding that you only want one to move. Let's just say his right cheek moves up towards his eye. There we go. What? The warnings, he explains. Do they come to you as bells, sirens, or something visual? Sorry, she blinks, passing him another plate. Simmons was auditory, he says, a hint of nostalgia in his voice. Imbalances in harmonics drove her crazy. Bells turned into sirens when things were off. Sam pauses. Never thought about it. It, he prompts. How we process data in real time, most call it intuition. He chuckles. So you have thought about it. Busted, she smirks. Imagine images work better for me. They're faster. Art affinity? Yeah. This is part of the stuff that you're not sharing, isn't it? That really feels like he knows more but doesn't have actual answers. But it's not ringing as untrue or with ill intent. Confusing me now is going back to the curiosity and cats thing. Go with the flow is your response. We're talking about this before library access. No, it's not a threat. Okay, deal. Think later. How did you... Okay, so we have another long paragraph. This one seems like it's a phone call kind of conversation because she kind of talks to herself in this last line. So it seems like she's talking, I'm guessing, to the committee. This is part of that stuff you're not sharing, isn't it? So apparently they're keeping something from her. That really feels like he knows more but doesn't... I kind of want this to be it. It really feels like he knows more, but doesn't have actual answers. But it's not ringing as untrue or with ill intent. Confusing me now is going back to the curiosity and cats thing. Go with the flow is your response. We're talking about this before library access. No, it's not a threat. Okay, deal. I don't know. I'm a little bit... I start to get confused. First, I got kind of confused about when she said she was confused, I was confused too. But I kind of get it. Curiosity killed the cat. But right here, go with the flow is your response. So like they're telling her to just go with it. We're talking about this before library access. Why am I not? They're not before whose access? Hers? Are we talking about a time before? I'm confused by this line. I don't know why I'm confused by this line. Maybe I shouldn't be. No, it's not a threat. Okay. I don't like it when I get confused by a line because it makes me start to wonder if I am missing something because there's so much. I'm doing so many things at one time, even though it seems like I'm just doing the one, but I'm actually screening for so many things and my brain is working from all these different angles that when I read and I don't understand a line, I'm like, oh, I feel dumb. And then later on when I listen to the video again, I'm like, oh, it makes sense. Stop being so, well, how do you not know? How do you not know what that means? And sometimes I'm still like, nope, still don't know what it means. But I don't know which one it's going to be. And when it's the one where I'm like, why didn't you know this? I'm frustrated about that. So I'm already like, I don't know. I got lost right here. We're talking about this before library access. All right. I'm unsure. Okay, and notes and video, you can laugh at me or make fun of me, whatever. Okay, and then let's see. No, it's not a threat. What is not a threat? We're talking. I'm lost right there. Okay, I know that she's talking this. I know that these thoughts are toward the committee. I know this. Okay, but I don't know what she means. No, it's not a threat. Okay, deal. So I understand this part. She's like, no, they're. I don't know. He's not a threat. No, it says it. She's not threatening them. Does he think, do they think she's threatening them? I'm confused. Okay. I'm all confused right there. Okay. This whole line right here lost me. And then think later is her shutting it down so she can rejoin the real world. How did you, lucky guess? I get those sometimes. He meets her gaze, challenging. So paint me a picture of the case. It's a straight line, point A to point B, no suspects, no related cases, no detours. She shrugs. No gameplay, no passing go, no collecting $200. No game, he repeats. Right. By itself, it's too neutral. Oh, this is going to be fun to explain. Garrett said you pissed off some powerful people, but there's no trace of them on record. I lean with him, and you did natural progression and all. So the absence of, or as you put it, reading between the lines, there is far more to the story. Evidence can be destroyed, people silenced, but not the memories of their involvement. With your access, you are a threat. What can't be controlled or stolen must be destroyed. Are you saying I or this system was the target? He gestures at the equipment. It's a theory, more plausible than he realizes. How better to derail someone than to hit them with a personal crisis like the sudden disappearance of a loved one? You think I was deliberately redirected? His jaw tightens. From what? Confidence clearance opens a lot of doors. She pauses, watching the subtle shift in his face. Operations opens even more. Carter studies her, his stare long and considering. I thought you couldn't read minds. She shrugs. Confidential clearance allows for plenty of options. Operations puts in quite a few more. Carter gives her a long look. Thought you couldn't read minds. Wait. Are you knowingly having him repeat himself? It's okay if you are. I'm just not sure. And so I'm going to highlight it just in case. I think that you might be doing it on purpose. Like, is he just stunned? Is she just blowing his mind right now? I kind of feel like she might be because she's Sam. I don't have to, she says, smiling, mentioning clearance. You wanted to correct me, but didn't. Access implies action. Deceit by omission. I'm restricted. I'm not asking you to break that. Caution balanced with trust, a voice from the committee observes. A sound approach. All right, we know that's all the committee. I respect classified information and the reasons behind it, she adds. Bound by duty and grief, a steadfast ally. I actually think that is still the committee. When it's justified, Carter agrees, his voice catching. Sam holds his gaze. Justified and honest. Good start, partner. And that, I believe, is her thoughts, and I think that based on this line right here. Sam holds his gaze. Yes, you worked hand in hand. Sorry. Wow, that was a dumbass word choice. That's completely Sam. Put that meter right into the defensive place. Now is the time. Oh, you're letting me flounder on my own and enjoying it. Thanks. Glad I can be your entertainment. Together in the field until what? What happened that put her out there alone and you in the supportive role? So the other thoughts were also Sam, but they were aimed at the committee. Not in the files, huh? He asks. No. You think it's all about our relationship? I didn't say that. Didn't not say it, he retorts. Double negative doesn't make a positive, unless it's math. Nice dodge and appreciated. Elusive. Sam's thoughts. Probative, he counters. Oh, we're doing this. I can go all day. Avoidant. Touchy subject. Sam is about to respond, but she reads the pain there. The committee's voice echoes in almost respectful silence as if they are witness to a moment that needs space. Such a wound doesn't close easily, one offers, almost as though considering an old memory. Leave it alone, please, until you see it from the right perspective. I can respect that. Nothing from you? Okay, you're relating in your own ways, keeping that from hitting me, scale. Okay, I'll trust you on that. You don't want me going catatonic in his presence, so new on the introductions. Okay, I'll trust you on that. You don't need me going catatonic in his presence, so new on the introductions. I kind of would just omit that part. Right there. Help me put it to rest. Is it okay to suggest I understand your conflict involving me too far, too fast? I do and appreciate it, so I'm a little rusty on the redirects. But what's your take on the frigid case we've been handed? Carter struggles to get out. A serial killer who just stopped isn't our cup of tea. They probably keeled over or got hit by a bus. Take the win. They never identified or caught anyone. I know he really wanted to reference Simmons there, and he'd done the redirect for her, and he's testing it on me. This gives me an insight into her case and their dynamics that I'm not going to get otherwise. We, because you're part of me. They never identified or caught them as far as we know. Okay. Let's see. Take the win. Kind of think Sam. I know he really wanted to reference Simmons there, and he'd done the redirect for her, and he's testing it on me. Sam, this gives me an insight into her case and their dynamics that I'm not going to get otherwise. Still Sam. Sorry, we, because you're part of me. And that's Sam to the committee. Okay? If that wasn't loaded with innuendo, he gestures for her to go on. Lay your pre-theory on me. Evidence varies enough to suggest a copycat. What about the forensics? Sam asks. When I get her together, he taps on the server, she can offer us a full breakdown, unbiased by any lab techs or environmental incongruity. She have a name? Yeah, gets earned like yours. Fair enough, Sam winks as she continues. Caught. They arrested 3 suspects who were released because of another murder taking place during the time of their custody. All 3 went on to meet accidental deaths within 6 months. I plan to follow up maybe a vigilante or an aggrieved loved one's work. I was going more for the lines that they caught the guy on another offense and he's waiting for us to offer amenities and trade for information. That's twisted, Carter says. Isn't it? But it's the way things tend to work. Coincidences never sit well with me. They don't with you either, but from a different perspective. My first step, interviews with victims' families. A killer like this would have a lair, a haven, a place to keep trophies. If there's a connection, I'll find it. A trophy room, he mulls it over. No new murders. We haven't found it yet. Right, so keeled over, accident, or incarcerated works to that angle on why they stopped. Maybe, maybe not, but your gut overrules my iffies with that stuff. Carter grins. Don't take that for granted. I could be wrong, she smiles. He slides a glance her way. I'll run the tech. You run the people? Works for me. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not big on that idea. I barely know him. Your risk, except I'm the one who suffers the consequences. Oh, you made a good argument. Maybe he can figure out why her system was working for an override. Are you truly curious or building evidence against Amanda? Both. At least you're honest about it. Exposure weakens our position, a voice cautions. Okay, so here we've got like our third, maybe our third paragraph of internal dialogue of her kind of having the phone call kind of conversation with the committee. I gotta say, I really prefer them kind of talking back and forth to her for the reason that it keeps them. I like being privy to the conversation unless you need to withhold information for a specific reason that moves the story forward. I like getting the impression that they are different voices in her head and getting the tones of them and their personalities. It makes them like more real, like more like a real character than a voice that's just there. And I am getting that impression, which is something I kind of mused out in the beginning, and it is proving true for me. So that's just a thought. And there's nothing to change about this. It's just her having internal thoughts in a one-sided conversation toward the committee. I like it better the other way. I'm not saying don't ever not do that, but I don't think I would transition to completely doing it that way. It's not as interesting, to be very honest. I think letting the committee have a different array of voices that kind of pipe up keeps me alert and intrigued into who they are and what they want. And I mean, why are they involved at all? What is it that the committee stands to benefit from being involved in anything? Why help Sam at all? So I wonder a lot. I have a lot of questions about them, and I don't know if they are supposed to be just a voice that's there and not a true character, but I kind of feel like, there was enough distinction to them that they were becoming a character for me, and I think we're going to lose that if we go with the solely with the phone call method. All right, let's keep going. Speaking of tech, she says, pulling a small bottle from her pocket with a chip dangling by a wire. Care to give your opinion on an unrelated matter? Carter squints. Do you always carry dead hardware? Special occasion, the active scanner first thing to go up. She asks, opening the top and sliding it onto the desk. He nods, eyeing the chip. Yeah, can't be too trusting. Be careful with the wire. It's sharper than it looks. Her senses prickle with caution. This was your plan? Am I pulling it back? I get that you suspect the guys know and why they don't talk to you. You haven't exactly been nice. You're going to have to take a risk now and again on your own. I would suggest weighing that you could learn from Carter, examining the device to what we learned from Amanda. Thanks. I shall proceed. Okay, so this is like our fourth one of it. I kind of follow it. I follow it. So, yeah. All right, we're going to keep going. Carter pulls a lamp from a drawer. It lights up. Powered by contacts, Sam states. You have a tech whisperer? I believe that's how you reference us in your background? Yeah. Got to earn the name? On the house, my best friend Amanda. Your roommate? He glances at her. I guess the references are interchangeable. You'd have to be close friends to share such an intimate space. Intimate? Sam blushes. The committee stirs. He sees it too. You don't hide it well. Yeah, in my defense, she was in my mind for weeks. I classify that as intimate as you can get. If you want to get into this debate, wait until I'm in a quiet place, because they say it takes a lot to make sailors blush with shame. I've got far more than that on you. Oh, it's not relevant. You're dead and gone. Glad you're accepting that. Just one name for you, Sigmund Freud. Munch on that for a while, because legacies aren't all they were made out to be in your day, and they're easy to destroy in mine. Okay, so with the length of these internal ramblings that she has in front of Carter, I don't know if it's working for me. I mean, I know who this is a conversation toward the committee. Okay. So she's kind of, but it's one-sided, and it's just, it's long. I'm kind of like, a lot of times our internal thoughts are short, but she's having an actual conversation with another party, but we're not privy to the other half of the conversation. And I can see why, because if you gave us the other half of it, it'd be even longer. And all of this is happening with Carter just kind of paused in time while it's going on. I would not make it longer. I would probably look at it and see what I could take out that isn't directly moving the story forward to make it tighter. Yeah. I think when you do the phone call thing, it needs to be very short and sweet with nothing extra. If you're when you do use that method, it's a tricky thing to have the two-sided conversation, pick how you're going to format it, both sharing the same body. There is a lot of complication in writing with the committee aspect, but I do like the aspect. I think it's very creative. Having an assortment of voices in your main character's head is a lot to juggle, and if you can find a balance, I think it's very interesting. Okay, we're going to keep going. Bad choice of words. I was back in the area. I checked on some old thorns, Carter says, rummaging through a drawer. Got curious about where Steiner's focus was these days. You and Garrett staying ahead of him? Scored major points on my end. He pulls out a set of jumpers. So how'd you land on the ASAC's radar? Garrett didn't fill you in, Sam asks. Not specifically. He likes me to piece things together. Keeps my understanding clean and unbiased. I agree. I've got children texting me. I'm going to pause for a second. Okay. There was a child texting me. Okay, I'm going to try this again, and I kind of want to mute it, but at the same time, they might need me, so I'm going to have to leave it on. Okay. Not specifically, he likes me to piece things together. Keeps my understanding clean and unbiased. I agree. Not many like him, she acknowledges. Guilt by association, Carter presses. Big time. It's not just Garrett, but my parents. A long classified story. Everyone close to me is under Steiner's suspicion. Even your roommate/best friend, the amnesiac who came back from the dead. He watches her, mentally sorting facts, balancing curiosity and restraint. Patient, a voice from the committee notes. A man willing to wait for the truth. Sam lets the silence hang, testing if he'll push. When he doesn't, she continues. Yeah, her amnesia was severe at first. We rebuilt from scratch. A new name, new identity, moved on. Except Steiner didn't, Carter says. He loves digging up secrets best left buried, and if anyone would crack open the recesses of an amnesiac's mind, it's a soul listener. Can't argue with that. His obsession is practically my third shadow. Too bad you're not on his side, Carter's grin widens. It'd make things simpler. If there are sides, you seem to get it, she counters. Sort of. He attaches one jumper to the chip, another to the lamp. My side didn't involve 24/7 surveillance. This piece of hardware, his handiwork? Maybe, but it worried Amanda enough to dunk it in water and drop off the grid. I'd be hesitant. Not new to this. I wouldn't plug anything foreign into her system without clearance, he interrupts. This is a low-level wake-up call. Electronic CPR. He clips the jumpers in place. It's not full disclosure, but I'll say my history with Steiner started with an avalanche that nearly killed me, flatlined Amanda, and left my dad missing, assumed dead. She lets the impact of that linger. He's still hunting answers that don't exist. Carter's expression changes, his professional veneer slipping. Wait, you're that Clemens? He steps back, staring at her. Oh, wow, Sam mutters. This is the part where you don't make a big deal out of it. Something big just happened there, huh? Yeah, aren't you supposed to be, I don't know, a teenager? Maybe still a quadriplegic? Was once. Then came a miracle of modern medicine. Her voice hardens. You know a lot. Means you're deep in Garrett's trust. You dropped off the information grid. Spill. He smirks, slipping back into his professional walls. Classified. Not when the subject of the classification is asking. That sounds like a demand. It was. Before she can push further, the server lights flicker, drives spinning down with a heavy hum. The room goes dark, leaving only the dim glow of the contact lamp. Carter grimaces. Well, that's bad. Sam sighs. No kidding. Told you not to. You said hesitant, he snaps. Totally different. You said you knew what you were doing. She tries not to laugh. He'd argue with the sunset if it proved his point. He snaps his fingers. Got a cell? She pulls it from her holster. Dead. He listens for a moment, then peeks into the hallway, scanning both directions. Only this trunk got hit. Good news. If you say so. I do. I've mapped every wire in this place. He disappears into the room, rummaging. Moments later, he returns with a glass plate. He places it on the desk, and it sparks to life, adhering to the surface and lighting up with a blinking prompt. Sam watches, intrigued, as he types and drags his hand across the display. The chip's circuitry appears, lit in red, green, and blue. Okay, that's impressive. Such tools, such skill, a voice from the committee murmurs. Cautious yet competent, he may be one to rely on when the storm comes, another voice agrees. How long have you had this? Carter asks, rummaging through a drawer. I'm going to pause. So just to note that it's very clear who is speaking when it's the committee. And we switched back a little bit. Okay, he argued with the sunset of it proves his point. I kind of think that's Sam. And then when we go back a little bit further, I'm going to compliment what I like. This is the part where you make a big deal of it. I think that's Sam. But back a little bit. I did not highlight my spot. Now I'm worried I'm going to lose it. There's a spot where you've switched back to what you were doing between the committee being like an opening line. Here we go. Patient, a voice from the committee notes, a man willing to wait for the truth. So it's very clearly the committee. Sam lets the silence hang, testing if he'll push. When he doesn't, she continues. So I like that. It's very clear when you kind of have that break there, letting us know it's the committee, but I know that you don't also want to always be telling. So the work you've put in is showing, like where you've definitely done a lot of work trying to make it seamless in where it fits in with Sam's thoughts. I actually prefer this to the phone call version of conversations with them. Let's get back down here. I think I paused myself right here. How long have you had this? Carter asks, rummaging through a drawer. Since yesterday afternoon. It came into my apartment last Saturday. How long until it got dunked in water? A few hours, maybe, Sam replies. How long does it take to panic dunk a suspicious gadget? Anything unusual while it was active? He presses. Define unusual. Power outage, EMP, no, but I wasn't there when it showed up. He sighs with a relief, rolling his eyes about. Hang on, is there like a dot right there? I think there might be a dot there. Yeah, I think it is. Okay, you can do what you want to fix that. I don't think I really helped, maybe. I don't know. He sighs with relief, rolling his eyes about. Maybe it was meant to be a comma. I think it was meant to be a comma. I'm not going to mess with it. Not an EMP, safety protocols, he explains. I deal with volatile digital viruses. Until fully charged, her system operates in isolation to contain threats. Anything holding energy gets drained. Sam pieces it together. Like a black hole, only friendly? My cell phone battery. He nods. Exactly. She studies him. You're familiar with this tech? Yeah. He gestures at the chip's schematic on his screen. Hard-coded software is easy to recover. He points at a shadowed area. But this part, think of it as RAM, is lost. A design I don't recognize. Sam interjects. But it stored whatever was running when submerged? One would assume. I have that data, she says. Got a notepad or something that won't process it? Wait, he raises a hand. Don't touch anything. Carter vanishes into the other room, returning with a sleek glass pad, which he sets on her side of the table. Palm here, he instructs. She presses her hand to the screen. Biometric? Better. Now a 24-character password, in case you lose a hand or mutate. She rolls her eyes. Charming, she mutters, inputting the password. This setup might outdo the CIA's finest. No one thinks of it until it matters, he says, activating the pad. You're good. Sam starts entering the code she memorized from Amanda's system, feeling his presence behind her. She pauses and turns. Do you mind not reading over my shoulder? He backs off, hands raised. Sorry, pet peeve? Yeah, part of the learning curve. She flashes a brief smile and resumes her work. Minutes pass. Carter focuses on the chip, pulling a multi-tool from his pocket and attempting to scrape its surface. Nothing budges. Trust is a resource to be rationed, a voice warns. Okay, we know the voice is the committee. We had an extra space there. The room hums back to life, servers rebooting. Quarantine's over, he announces. Does that mean she knows what it is? He shakes his head, a smile forming. No, just that whatever it is can't escape. Still isolated. Sam finishes typing and slides the pad over. Here's everything. No clue if it's connected. He scans it quickly. If your gut says it is, it probably is. His fingers fly over the keys, analyzing. Where did this come from? Depends. What does it do? Carter holds up the chip. Haven't seen this in a while. This small, impressive work? He pauses, realizing he's left her behind in his thoughts. The chip is a virtual black hole. You put it near, say, a cell phone. It sucks in all the information it can until it reaches capacity. When it does, it drops its payload on the nearest capable outbound stream, followed by a self-destruct. We use them in covert raids when we couldn't safely gain access through other means. High-tech spy camera, she guesses, her mind racing with possibilities. I would just say racing. He nods. Exactly, but risky. For instance, this one hit a barrier, bounced back, and wrapped itself up, waiting for a signal. She couldn't transmit because it was disabled, Sam realizes. Exactly, so it hid where it could. Not very well if you found it, no offense. None taken. I didn't find it. It was pointed out to me, asking for an override. You didn't override it, did you? No. He grins, relieved. Smart, messing with the unknown can be costly. This hit Amanda's system? Yeah, she admits. Can you tell what it's after? He hesitates, uncomfortable. Okay, so if he hesitates, he's uncomfortable by his action, so we don't need to add on. I can try, but it's invasive, like poking around someone's underwear drawer. She chuckles. Gotta love your ethics. What if I look? He sighs, considering. Maybe you should show it to her. It came to me first, Sam counters. Carter's eyes narrow in thought. Just have them narrow. We don't have to say in thought. Maybe it thinks you're easier to convince for an override. Or Amanda's the guise, if you must, recognizes loyalty. They seeks truth within trust. It's why it comes to you. An override is required. A soft female voice sounds from the committee. Not all are of this thinking. He respects her boundaries, a rare virtue. While not written in the Constitution of the United States, it is implied. You swore an oath. We already agreed. You debate over there and leave me to the now, so stick by it. Okay, so this is Sam, but it's right up against the committee, and I kind of want it separate. I would suggest separating that out. It's just Amanda's the guise. If you must recognizes loyalty. The opening line is a little bit confusing to me. They seeks truth within trust. It's why it comes to you. An override is required. A soft female voice sounds from the committee. Not all are of this thinking. He respects her boundaries, a rare virtue. While not written in the Constitution of the United States, it is implied. You swore an oath. I'd have a thing in here from Sam, like a Sam movement of some sort, something that says something of Sam or of Sam, okay, to switch it back to her, and then we can expect the next part to be from her because we're reminded of her. This opening line, I'm a little bit confused. I don't mean to delete it. I don't mean to do that by any means. I mean to put like a little note on it that says I'm confused. Okay, I'm confused. I don't know I'm not sure about the opening line, and I don't know if it's because I'm trying to discern I can't, because there's Amanda, there's Carter, there's the committee, there's Sam, and Amanda is not in the room, but they're referring. She's having a thought about her. The guys, I'm not sure what the guys is, and then if you must, and then it's like the committee said something one-sided. I'm not really sure. Okay. I can't even, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I can't figure it out. So, they seeks truth within trust. It's why it comes to you. It's why it comes to you and overrides part. I may be overthinking it, and so I'm going to leave it. We are down here. All right. It's a theory, Sam says, feeling the weight of her request. Amanda and I are close enough to go through each other's drawers, metaphorically speaking, of course. She feels her face heat up at how that sounds. Smooth, Sam. Carter chuckles but turns back to his work, not letting it derail him. She notices his eyes keep drifting to the wire connected to the chip, curiously sparking each time. Got your attention, she asks, leaning forward. Yeah. The material isn't ordinary metal. Preliminary scans suggest it's more organic. Organic, Sam frowns, running through the possibilities. Maybe something from the plant it came with? Maybe, he looks up, intrigued. Okay. I'm going to leave it, but I kind of think you don't need intrigued because, I know that he's doing something and now he's looking up at her like it's caused him to pause. So I don't, I feel like you don't need it, but I'm going to leave it. You know the plant species? Taka chantreri, the black bat flower, she says. Grim name. He starts to ask for the spelling, but the interface pulls it up on its own. Never mind, she's got it. Efficient, Sam comments, impressed. Okay, so I'm gonna change my mind. I'm going to go ahead and recommend you delete it. And the reason is we kind of have this little thing where we have an afterthought that it's redundant. So I'm just gonna go ahead and make the suggestion. And they're calling me again. Oh my goodness. Okay. She has her moments. He nods at another notification. Got residue from the bat flower and something else. DNA, familiar to her system, but locked down tight. This is getting interesting. 3 options, mine, Amanda's, or Garrett's. He runs the check. Not Garrett's. Yours is present, and he hesitates. Awkward, Sam offers, her eyebrow raising. Yeah, and a third match, Carter confirms, visibly unsettled. But the data's locked tighter than yours. Is that possible? Oh, very, Sam laughs. But you're not sure if I'm cleared to know. Amanda is tightly held, more so than mine. Oh, Amanda's. Sorry about that. It was plural. Amanda's is tightly held, more so than mine. That possible? Oh, absolutely, Sam chuckles. She can't even access it outside of, doing it herself. Some medical training in her background, I take it? Something like that. She watches him try to make sense of it. You were active during Landing View, right? I'm that Clemens. Amanda was with me, front and center. He looks intrigued, but still cautious. Still not enough to fully piece it together. Try this. She pulls up a drawing app and sketches part of a chemical profile. Rough, but enough to match Amanda's DNA. He watches, impressed. Okay, so see, there's a little pattern there where we have if the action tells the sensation, if it shows it, then you don't have to tell. There we go. If the action shows it, we don't have to tell it. So he watches, impressed. So I kind of think I don't know that he's impressed, but I don't know if we want to tell that he's impressed. So we can say he watches. Can we show that he's impressed? Are his eyebrows raised? Is he, is there a facial expression? And you could show it instead of saying that he's impressed. It's just an opportunity to show it. I'm contemplating. I'm just going to, it's just a spot to show. And so I'm inclined to suggest we do that. There's an opportunity here to show Carter's facial expression and let it do the telling for you. Like if you show what he looks like, it doesn't have to be long. It could just be, his eyebrows, his eyes widen. What he's looking at, his eyes widen, okay? Or look in the mirror and think of yourself being impressed with what he's seeing. Think of yourself being Carter and make a facial expression and then look at yourself and what does that look like? And that kind of pick out the feature you notice the most and maybe describe that on Carter very briefly. Let's see. Just a piece of it, she says with a grin. Perfect memory can be unsettling. A notification dings. And that's a match, Carter says. Your trace is from handling it. Hers looks like she might have cut herself on it. Explains your earlier warning. Yeah, she gave me a heads up. Sam studies his reaction. He hesitates, then asks, should I attach her name to the profile? If it stays within a closed system, yes. She leans back, thoughtful. Odd it wasn't already linked. Probably was, just under serious lock and key, he reasons. Especially with the Landing View. Especially with the Landing View ties. I know it's supposed to be off limits, but not classified to someone who lived through it, Sam reminds him. He grins, conceding, true, this just might work. She nods, trust building between them. The committee hums with approval, echoing softly. He respects boundaries, but seeks understanding, a valuable partner indeed. So, and that's the end of chapter 13. Okay. So I like Carter, and I like that I was getting an impression of him before Sam had her thoughts, kind of confirming what my impression was of him. So I really like that. I think that's a good sign in this chapter. I like the balance of internal thoughts from Sam, and I like what you showing the action of Carter doing something here and the progression. I did mostly know who was speaking, or who was speaking when it was an internal dialogue between the committee and Sam. So that went pretty well. There was just the decision on the phone, the kind of phone format. Let's just go back up here before we finish this video and revisit our question one more time and see if my musings might have answered it. If they did, we're just going to let them stand on their own. Let's see. We'll click our little message box right here and go back down to the very bottom. Do you prefer the one-sided conversation with Sam where you're inferring what the committee is saying, like a phone call, or do you want to actually have them say it? So throughout my musings, I think the general consensus here is that I actually prefer them saying it because it gives you more the opportunity to show them as characters and to tap into the different voices and give out their personalities in her interactions with them. And I think you want them to be a character, a feature character, because they are present. So let them go ahead and have some shine too, I think. And I did like the way those were written better than the phone call. So yes, I think overall my musings stood by that, and I hope all of that is helpful, and let me know if you have any questions. And guys, thank you for joining me on this episode of Mystery Read Reads. See you next time.